Falcon 9 is in startup. Dragon is in countdown. FTS is armed for launch.
Under a minute now, the FTS, the flight termination system, has been armed.
Dragon, SpaceX, go for launch.
SpaceX Dragon, we're go for launch. Let's light this candle.
T-minus 30 seconds.
우리요?
Stage 1 tanks pressing for flight.
T-minus 15 seconds.
우리야?
10,
이거 어떻게 돼?
6,
알고 돼요?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon. Go NASA. Go SpaceX. Godspeed. Bottom tag.
America has launched. And so rises a new era of American spaceflight, and with it the ambitions of a new generation continuing the dream. 20 seconds into flight, stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
T-plus 30 seconds into this historic mission. Flying crew on board.
Canada, go here.
And look at them go.
Falcon power telemetry nominal.
M1D throttle down.
We're throttling down to get ready for the period of maximum dynamic pressure. We're in the throttle bucket. Say all systems are go.
우리 대유령 대유?
एक मिनट को दिशा पे बाहर है
Supersonic.
예, problem ini
Mach 1 on the
Keep
Falcon
shooting.
9.
M1D throttle up.
We're throttling back up to full power as we're through max Q.
Copy 1 Bravo.
And we heard that 1 Bravo call out. That's just the second abort zone that they're in. They'll continue to be on this until the first stage has done its job and they switch over to the second. At this point, Bob and Doug pulling about 2.3 Gs, 2.3 times the Earth's gravity, already moving at over 1,500 miles per hour.
We've heard the call out for MVAC engine chill. That's getting the MVAC engine ready to light. That'll come at about 2:44 into flight. Right now, everything continuing to look good. Next major event coming up is going to be the triple. We'll have main engine cutoff of the 9 first stage engines, stage separation, and then ignition of the second stage engine to continue to carry astronauts into orbit. Coming up in about 20 seconds.
M1D throttle down.
We heard we're throttling down the Merlin engines on the first stage.
대유.
And we have Miko.
Eco.
2 Alpha.
Falcon stage separation confirmed.
50개.
MVAC ignition.
All right, we have stage separation confirmed. The first stage beginning its flight back.
Well,
The
they said
second
50.
stage being powered by that single Merlin 1D vacuum engine has ignited and is now carrying Bob and Doug into orbit. So they're going to continue under the power of this second
Stage
stage,
2 propulsion is nominal.
which will cut off at SECO, or second engine cut off at about 8 minutes and 44 seconds into today's flight. So a little over 5 minutes to go still on this second stage. You heard the call out to Alpha, so they're now in the longest abort zone that carries them all the way from about North Carolina up the eastern seaboard, almost to Canada. Things looking good though, getting good call outs, nominal propulsion on that second stage. Bob and Doug continuing to make their way into orbit.
Dragon SpaceX nominal trajectory.
Natural boleh.
Signal Bermuda.
SpaceX Dragon nominal trajectory.
nominal trajectory, so Dragon pointed in the right direction, continuing to make their flight uphill. Heard acquisition of signal Bermuda, that's one of the other ground stations that they're using to get telemetry and data back from this spacecraft.
Stage 2 propulsion is still nominal.
नेक्स्ट चाहिँ 8 मिनट हुन्छ है वा हो 8 मिनटमा यो पहिलो गरेको
A little over 4 minutes, 40 seconds into the flight. Bob and Doug flying at more than 5,600 miles per
Dragon
hour.
SpaceX nominal trajectory.
Already almost 200 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center. Nominal trajectory continuing. And while they continue uphill, looks like we are getting a view of the first stage as well.
Yep, on your right screen, you can see that first stage with the grid fins deployed. It's making its way back to attempt to land on our drone ship, Of Course, I Still Love You Today. And we're just about a couple minutes away from the entry burn, and that's where 3 of the 9 Merlin engines do ignite to help slow the vehicle down as it re-enters back into the Earth's atmosphere. And then after the entry burn will be the landing burn, which is just a single
Dragon
engine.
SpaceX nominal trajectory.
And you heard
Nominal.
there's that call out. They are still on a nominal trajectory on Dragon, still on second stage, and that's that MVAC engine on second stage on your left screen. Again, on your right screen is that first stage booster coming back towards our drone ship. Of Course, I Still Love You. We're about a minute away from entry burn.
Meanwhile, that second stage continuing to power Dragon into orbit. Again, if you're keeping an eye on that timer, that's going to continue to burn until 8 minutes and 44 seconds into flight. So a little over 2 minutes from now, we'll hear the call out SECO. It'll then be a little
Stage 2 propulsion is still good.
a little over 3 minutes until Dragon physically separates from the second stage of the Falcon 9 after the upper
Dragon
stage gets a
SpaceX
chance.
nominal trajectory.
Dragon copy, nominal trajectory.
Continuing to check in with Bob and Doug as they are on a nominal trajectory. Just about 10 seconds away from that first stage, starting that entry burn on your right screen. We should be able to see that view live.
Stage 1 entry burn started.
And there is that entry burn beginning. This burn lasts about 36 seconds long.
Stage 2 FTS is saved.
While that entry burn continues, we're just about a minute away from SECO. We'll have a number of events all happen in rapid succession. It'll be the second engine cutoff.
Stage 1
We'll be looking for that stage 1 landing burn shortly after.
And actually just within a few seconds of each other. It's such a cool view on your left screen, seeing Bob and Doug on Dragon. Right now you can see the displays that they are seeing right
All right, you're
now.
looking at it right now as the Crew Dragon capsule is being carried to space on the second stage of the Falcon 9 rocket. Right now, the first stage is actually on its way back down to Earth, and one notable feature about these rockets is they are reusable and they will land, if all goes well, on drone vessels in the sea. I would like to, as we watch this, and I want to tell people at 12 minutes, so about 3 minutes from now, will be the final stage where it separates from the second part of the rocket. I want to show people the launch one more time here. And that was the launch just moments ago of the first launch of a crewed spacecraft from U.S. soil in 9 years, the first time ever a launch from a private company. I'm joined by Miles O'Brien, a CNN space analyst, and Scott Kelly, NASA astronaut. Scott, your feelings right now?
Well, lately, not a lot of great news or good news in this country, and this is just great. And I'm very excited, not only for Bob and Doug, but all the people that put so many years of labor into this. The first flight of anything, any aircraft or spacecraft is significant, but more so, the first flight of doing something like this is a real achievement. So I'm absolutely thrilled.
Yeah, on the left-hand side of your screen there is the landing drone, basically, of the first stage of that rocket. Miles O'Brien, it is always remarkable to see this, and this was a launch that we haven't seen before. Yes, SpaceX has launched unmanned rockets and capsules before, but this is the first time astronauts are on board, so we're watching something happen for the very first time.
Yes, John, and we should point out they are officially in orbit now. That's a big deal when you turn off the engines and you begin hurtling around the planet at 17,500 miles an hour. That's the critical 8.5 to 9 minutes that we worry about the most. It's similar, and yet it's very different to what we've been used to over the years. And you got to give credit to the SpaceX approach. For years, they were flying cargo to the International Space Station. They began with a design and built the cargo craft with human beings always in mind. And so they got a lot of experience with the Falcon 9 Dragon combination, sending cargo up to the International Space Station. So while this is a first launch with humans strapped inside, and that ups the ante on safety, human rating is a big deal, they learned an awful lot over the past 10 years in those repeated trips to the International Space Station. So, when you harken back to the first space shuttle launch back in 1981, that vehicle had never flown before. That was an extraordinary test flight John Young and Bob Crippen accomplished in that day. In this case, this is, in many respects, a tried and true system that Benkin and Hurley are riding on.
At 12 minutes, T plus 12 minutes, and we're about 20 seconds from that, the capsule will separate completely from the rocket. I want to just listen in for a second to see if we can hear some of that communication.
The separation event should be coming up shortly, and they'll begin a series of checks on the Draco thrusters that are going to be used to maneuver and then power Dragon on its flight to the International Space Station. Standing by for separation.
Expected loss of signal, wallops.
It sounds like we had an expected LOS loss of signal with one of the ground stations. Waiting for confirmation now of that
Dragon separation confirmed.
Dragon separation confirmed.
There is a great view right in front of you of Dragon separating. And there's that call out. Dragon is now officially making its way to the International Space Station today.
Dragon SpaceX with that separation call. We have a few words.
The second stage of the Falcon 9 rocket drifting back down to Earth. The capsule is on its own. Scott Kelly, an incredible moment to witness. I have to imagine for you, as someone who's hitched a ride on a Soyuz, a Russian rocket before, this looks to be traveling a little bit more style and a little more comfort here.
Yeah, definitely a bigger